Hello everyone, this is Supersport1966 on YouTube and Steven on Facebook. I just wanted to take a moment and do a video about CraftWare. I feel like this is one of the most overlooked slicing programs out there right now, and it's kind of a shame because it's a fantastic program. It has a lot of the features and sort of feels similar to S3D. It's free, just like Cura, and the print quality out of it is amazing. You can do customizable supports, and speaking of supports, the difference between Cura and S3D is night and day. When you're trying to remove the supports out of S3D, they come off so easy. Strangely enough, the supports that come out of CraftWare are even that much easier to pull off, and I know it's hard to believe, but that's true. They're so easy to pull off, and it comes off so clean. It's pretty amazing. So anyways, this demo is going to go through the complete steps of downloading, installing, setting it up, and printing our first print, and then I'll show you the results of the print. So first thing I'm going to do is open a browser, and we're going to search for CraftWare. Normally I use Chrome, but right now I'm going to stick with this. So I'll search for CraftWare. Craft Unique is the company that makes CraftWare. I'm going to go ahead and select that. I'm not going to click on the ad up here because I just hate doing that. So I'm going to go to Craft Unique. And as you can see here, CraftWare is free. We'll go down here. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is if you install the latest version of CraftWare, this is still beta. You don't really notice it's beta when you're inside using it, but it is considered beta still. But if you install the latest version, and you go in and you set your bed size to 300 by 300 by 400, when you close CraftWare and you come back in, that bed size is reset to the defaults, which I believe is 200 by 200 by 300, and it doesn't get saved. So in order to fix that, we have to download and install the previous version of CraftWare, which is 1.13. So we're going to do that real quick first. I'm going to accept the cookies here. I'm going to click here for all versions. Now I'm using Windows. If you're using Mac or Linux, you can do those. I'm going to go ahead and use the Windows version. So here's version 1.1.3. I'm going to grab that. You do not have to put an email address if you don't want to. It's up to you. All you have to do is uncheck this box and it starts to download. Once the download is finished, I'm going to go ahead and run the installer. Say yes on the user account control. Now, one issue I have with this demo right here is I'm actually running this demo in a virtual machine. So the virtual machine does not have the high-end graphics that my main machine has. And I'll be honest, I haven't even run CraftWare inside a virtual machine yet, so I'm not sure how well this will work. On my main machine, it is so smooth. It's just buttery smooth, everything. The redraws, the moving things like that. It's very nice to use. So I'm going to go ahead and agree to the license agreement. And I just use all the defaults here. Now, if you don't have the, what was it, the Microsoft, can't remember what it was. Anyways, I think it just showed that it was going to install. I already have them installed on this computer. If yours pops up another thing to install there real quick, go ahead and accept that. You'll need it to make this run. Now I'm going to go ahead and, here again, I'm running a virtual machine. On my main machine, I would run OpenGL. On this virtual machine, I happen to know it won't work, so I'm going to run Direct3D. It'll run a little bit slower, but it'll still work. So here we are. So it's telling me here that it's being run for the first time. Do I want to do automatic updates? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to cancel this one because first thing I want to do is go in and set my bed size. So I'm going to cancel this. I'm also going to maximize my window just so I have a little more viewing area. I'm going to go down here to Options. I'm going to go to Printer. Again, I'm going to set my bed size right here to 300 by 300 by 400. And say OK. Now again, that's a step I have to do because in the beta, you can see up here it's still beta. Version 1.1.4 is also beta, and for some reason when you install 1.1.4 it does not install the proper, I believe it's the registry items. to force this to save the bed size. So now I'm going to close it and I'm going to verify that that worked. Minimize my browser because I'll be right back to that. So I'm going to open up CraftWare and maximize my window. I'm going to cancel the update again. And I'm going to verify that my bed size held. So I clicked options, I go over to printer, and it did hold 300, 300, 400. That's what I just set to it. So I'm going to say okay, I'm going to close this. Now instead of going back to the website and downloading it, I'm just going to do it this way just to show you it works. I'm going to go to CraftWare. It's going to say, do you want to update? I'm going to say yes. Go ahead and start the download. There, it's downloading automatically. You could click here if you wanted to speed that up, but I went ahead and just let it run. So now we're installing 1.1.4, and because we already installed 1.1.3, those registry items or whatever it is that was missing are now installed, so that now when I go into 1.1.4, those settings will be saved for us. So I'm going to go ahead and run the installer. And same thing we just did a moment ago. Say yes, next, agree to the license, leave the defaults, and just like that, we are done. Okay, so CraftWare is installed. Go ahead and close that. I'm going to close the browser. We're now done with that. Now the next thing, before you print anything, I'd say download the profiles, or you can do your own, but these are 4 profiles that I have built. I happen to like these. They come out really nice. So I've got an ABS profile, a PLA coarse profile, a fine profile, and a standard profile. So the standard profile is a 0.2 layer height, fine is a 0.1 layer height, coarse is I believe 2.8 layer height, and it's faster. So I have fine set up to a little bit slower, really fine settings. Does a beautiful job printing. And ABS, of course, I just have higher temps and I've slowed it down a little bit and turned off the fan, things like that. So let's close that. So I'm going to go ahead and download fine right now because that's what we're going to use in the demo that I'm going to print. So what we're going to do is we're going to print a benchy using this. So I'm going to go ahead and download this. I'm going to view the download. Actually, I'm going to open the folder where it's at because I want to grab that download real quick. And here it is right here. I'm going to move it to my desktop just so I can find it easily. Close that. I'm going to close down my browser. Okay, so we'll open CraftWare again. And because I use my slicer really regular, one more thing I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to right mouse click on the icon down here on the taskbar. I'm going to say pin it to the taskbar. So now when I close CraftWare, it's sitting right down here for me. Makes it real easy to get to. Okay, so they put in this little demo here. I'll zoom in here. And as you can see, the drawing is really fast. It just does a great job of redrawing. If I had this on my main machine, you'd see this is a lot smoother and a lot faster. But unfortunately, I have to use this setting in a virtual machine. So I'm going to say new project. I'm going to add an object. Oh, I didn't grab a benchy. You know what? I guess that's part of this demo then. So I'm going to go to Thingiverse. Let's go to benchy. I'm going to search for benchy up here. Let's find, where's the, oh gosh, where's the original? I don't even know which one's the original here. There's a baby group benchy. This might be it right here. I believe this is it. So we're going to grab this one. I'm going to download all files. Going to open the folder where that downloaded to. And again, I'm going to move it to the desktop. Okay. Close the browser. I'm going to minimize CraftWare. I could close it, but I'm just going to minimize it. And why isn't it sitting here? Let's see. refresh, there we go. Okay, so here's the profile I downloaded and here's the Benchy. So I'm gonna unzip the Benchy, I'm gonna right mouse click, extract all. I'm just gonna say extract, it'll come out on the desktop here. And in underneath files is the Benchy that we want, is this first one here. Actually, I'm gonna pull this one here. I wanna do the harder one just to demo how the software works. So we'll go back into CraftWare. We're going to add an object. We'll go to the desktop, 3D Benchy, files, and we want the larger, oh, that is the large one. Okay, I'll bet you the other one was a different type of file. So we'll go ahead and select that one. And it drops in. And as you can see, it comes in on its side, which I'm glad it did that because I get to show you something else here that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna, the way you maneuver here is right mouse click or wheel mouse click to rotate. You just click and drag and it rotates. If you want to move the screen, hold down your shift key and drag with the right mouse button again or the wheel. Okay, so I want to have the Benchy lay flat on the table here. So how do we do that? I click on this button called drop plane. I click on a flat spot. Let me zoom in here and show you what's going on. So if I click on the wrong spot, it's laying that way. I want it to be flat. So I'll pick an area that's flat on the bottom, and like that, it's dropped it down on a flat plane. So now I want to make sure it's centered on the table. Now, one more thing I want to show you real quick is these camera angles. I'm going to select camera, home. That gives us the default view. And as you can see, the Benchy's a little bit further back than it should be. It should be centered a little bit better. But using camera view, you can do top, left, right, etc. Bottom. Look at the bottom of it if you want. The other way you can go to home really quickly. Here, I'll go to the right. And let's say I want to go home real quickly. Hit the home key on your keyboard. And just like that, it pops to home. Okay, so now I want to move the Benchy to the center of the screen. So, or the center of the bed. I'm going to click move. And I can do realign. And it places it in the middle. If I had more than one of these, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's say multiply. How many do I want? I want 4 total instances. So that's 3 on top of the one I have. It's a little different than some other softwares. You put in how many you want to end up with. So I'm going to say 4 of them. There's 4 of them. I can realign, and they all get placed in the middle of the bed again. So let's go back to the one. I can just undo. Undo again, and that's cool. You got an undo redo up here. I can rotate it if I want to, and you select which one of these arrows you want to rotate on. So let me zoom in here and show you that. So if I select the blue arrow, it's going to rotate it around a circle this way. And notice how it's keeping the item against the bed the whole time it's doing this. If I select the green one, it's going to rotate around flat on the bed. And the pink one, it's going to go this way. And again, it's leaving part of the object on the bed at all times. So I'm going to undo those movements here real quick. Actually, I'll go back to that point there. Okay, I can also scale it. If I'd like to change the size of it, I can do so here. You can do locked so it's all uniform, or you can unlock it so you can do one direction only if you'd like. You can do your mirroring here. Let's see, drop plane, auto drop. Let's say I accidentally had it. Whoops, I'm on scale. Let me undo that. Go back to move. Let's say I accidentally had this thing up in the air somewhere, like that. I can do auto drop and it'll throw it onto the bed for me. Come on, throw it on the bed. Dare ya. Okay. If you need help on what these do, hold your mouse over them, and down here on the right, you'll see a little pop-up. Yeah, and I don't know why that's not dropping to the bed right now, unless it is. Let me take a look here. Oh, it is on the bed. Okay, it did move to the bed. Okay, so let's recenter that again. So we'll realign. It's in the center. Let's check the scale, make sure it's still 100%, which it is. And now is where we can go in and do some slicing or supports if we'd like. So let's go into supports real quick. Once in the support screen, I can go ahead and tell it auto-generate supports. And you can see there, it just filled in all the supports for me. I can go in and manually remove some of those. So if I know for sure I don't need some of those, which I know I don't need any of them, but in this case I'm going to say I don't need these on the outside edge, I'm going to hold the control key, and once I place my cursor over one of those pieces of support, turns red, I click on it and it disappears. Let's say I want one in, but I don't want it where it placed it. I just move my mouse to where I think I want it, click, and I've got one in. Now I'm going to clear all the supports because I'm not going to be using these. And we'll go back to the main screen here. Let's go to Objects. There's Place Back In. So now I can click on Slice, and this is where you can either use the defaults, which does a decent job. It's not actually too bad. You can have it automatically generate support, add a raft automatically. I'm going to go to Expert Mode, which is how I print everything. And here's where I want to import one of the profiles. So I'm going to go ahead and select Import. I saved it on the desktop. There's my PLA fine. So it just changed all these settings to the settings I use on my system. I'm going to go ahead and store that profile so I can get back to it later. So I'm going to say Store. I'm going to call it PLA fine. And as you see here in the list, I now have PLA fine. So in PLA fine, I've got all these settings set up. I've changed the speeds and what have you. I've slowed it down a tiny bit because right now my belts are loose on my printer, which I haven't changed yet, and I already started printing one of these out of here. So there's a chance my benchy is going to be screwed up, but that's okay. You'll get to see how good the print is aside from the little screw up that it does. Go to Advanced Screen, and here you can change your retraction, wipe lengths, things like that. And again, I've got these set the way I like them, and it actually works quite well. You can do a foundation. I use a skirt. I tell it I need at least 100 millimeters of filament pressed out on the skirt before it starts printing my object, and this prevents it from being empty when it starts to print and giving me, you know, holes in my print. If it's a tiny item like this boat, I tell it at least go around one time. So I set that. You can do a brim, you can do a raft if you want to. Most of the time I actually do skirt. It tends to work well for me. Temperature. This is where you can turn off the fan if you want to, or disable it for how many layers you want to. Here's your temperatures. I do make it wait to print before, you know, I want it up to temp before it prints, so I tell it to wait. I want it to heat the bed first before the print head, because otherwise the print head's sitting there hot for no reason while the bed's coming up to temp. G-code, I've actually put in the G-code I like to use on all my slicing software. It does a couple of things. It homes the axis. It goes ahead and sets the temperature. It lifts the print head. It jumps over my binder clips. It gets ready to prime. It primes, and then it does a quick wipe. And then at the end of the job, it turns off the heat. It moves the bed all the way forward instead of back so that you can get the part off easily. It turns off the motor so you can move the bed around if you need to. And it turns off the fan, and then it plays a little bit of music for you. Okay, so that's my settings there. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to slice. Yeah, it's a little slow in this on this virtual machine, but you get an idea of what's going on here. So this is where things get kind of fun. I'm going to go ahead and turn off G-code on the left here. I'm going to turn off the travel, and I'm going to go ahead and leave this on. Type, I have type turned on, and that's basically this here. The legend on the left tells you what type of lines are in what colors. You can turn it off and it becomes one color. Come on. Oh, there we go. We switched tool head. There we go. Go back to type. I like type. I also like high quality, and that's all I show on mine when I usually print. So here's a couple of things. Here shows you statistics, shows you how long it's going to take, what time it would finish if you started right now, the amount of filament it's going to use. I don't remember what percent of travel means. In PLA, it's going to cost me 30 cents to print this. In ABS, it's going to be 25 cents. That's because of the prices I have set in the settings, which I could change, which I'm not going to bother with right now. One kind of cool thing you can do, you can say animate. Oh, and unfortunately, animate's not going to work in the virtual machine. So, lucky for you, something you get to see you don't get to see here. Click on animate in yours and see what it does. It's basically going to show you the path that the tool head is going to take, and it animates it for you. It's kind of a cool look. The other thing you can do is turn on the G code. So over here is the G code. These are actually all the codes being sent to the printer, and when you slice through this item, you can see that G code over there is changing and telling you what's happening on that particular layer that it's showing. Oh, and I'm just noticing, you know what, I did screw up. It looks like my, let me slide this up. Huh. Little glitch going on there. Okay, that actually does not happen usually, so. That's funny. That must be with the redrawing that I'm doing in this virtual machine. But yeah, there's a little glitch going on there on the screen right there. Odd. So anyways, once you've sliced it and you like what you've got, click Save, throw it on your SD card, and then move it over to your printer. And at this point, we'll go ahead and move over to the printer, and we'll show you what that looks like. Some things are kind of fun to do though, actually, before I leave. Zoom in, and just keep zooming in, and look how detailed this is. I mean, it shows you exactly where each piece of plastic is going to be laid down. It shows you how it's going to lay it down, how long it is. I mean, it's very, very detailed. It's kind of cool. Spin around it, right mouse button to spin around. It's going to try and print that, and actually on the object it comes out pretty decent. It's not too bad. I'm gonna hold down Shift so I can move that up, and you can see the bottom of it. Again, it's just kind of cool to kind of browse around in here. Okay, so that's it on the computer. We're gonna go ahead and move over to the printer, and we'll go from there. Okay, so Benchy is finished, and unfortunately, like I thought was going to happen, I forgot to tighten this belt, and unfortunately it did skip. This belt is a little loose right now. I noticed it yesterday. I had the same thing happen, and I was going to tighten it this morning and forgot. So I've got a skip in the print, and it's unfortunate because it's so clean otherwise. Actually, it skipped twice, it looks like. I've got one up here, and whoops, and one down here. So, but other than that, if you look at it, the printing is just incredibly good. Now, I did zero cleanup on this. This is literally off the bed, and here it is. I do see a couple little fine hairs inside there where the skip happened, looks like. But other than that, the arches came out real nice. The circle came out real nice. The chimney is perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect. The box here is perfect. Everything is really, really clean. You can even see the printing on the back here fairly well. Actually, I can read it. If I look real closer, I can read it. And here's the bottom. See if the light will hit it right, so it'll show up on camera. Not sure if it will. But you can read that too. So unfortunately with the loose belts, I did get a little bit of ghosting here. very fine, but it is there. And of course the skips that I was talking about. So that's the sample we got out of it. Again, I just want to say I really think that CraftWare is something people ought to look at a little bit more, and I feel like if there's a little more interest in it, they might further develop it, although they don't have much to go right now. I mean, they're right up there. You can see the roof here is nice and clean. Like I say, the chimney's perfect. The box back here is perfect. This little hole is perfect. The hole in the back here is perfect. It came out just superbly. All right. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time around.